Walk into any Currys in Britain and you will see what looks like a wall of choice. 15, 20 different washing machine brands, all competing for your money, all priced differently, all promising something the one next to it cannot. Hotpoint against Indesit, Bosch against Siemens, AEG against Zanussi. You stand there agonising over which rival to back, and here is what nobody on that shop floor will tell you. Most of those rivals are not rivals at all. They are the same companies wearing different badges, sometimes built on the same chassis, in the same factories, by the same owner, sold to you at different prices to create the feeling of a choice you're not actually making. By the end of this video, you will know exactly who owns every brand on that wall, the single design trick that turns a machine you should be able to repair into one you're forced to throw away, and the small handful of names that are genuinely not part of the club. And I should warn you now, once you have seen the map, you will never look at an appliance showroom the same way again, and you will never pay extra for a badge without asking who is really behind it. So let me give you the number that frames the whole thing. I investigated 15 of the washing machine brands you will recognise on any British high street. The ones in the adverts, the ones in the showrooms, the ones your parents told you to trust. 15 names. And when you trace every one of them up through the holding companies and the contribution agreements and the corporate filings, they collapse into just 4 owners. 4. Not 15 competitors fighting for your custom. 4 conglomerates managing a portfolio of badges and letting you believe the badges are enemies. One is Turkish, one is German, one is Swedish, one is Chinese. And between them they decide what the overwhelming majority of British households can buy to wash their clothes. That is not a market. That is a map drawn in 4 colours, and you've been buying from it your whole life without ever being shown the key. Here is the first thing you need to understand, because this consolidation has hit Britain in a way most people have completely missed. In April 2024, the biggest shift in this entire industry quietly completed, and almost nobody reported it properly. Whirlpool, the giant American corporation, folded its entire European appliance business into a new company called Beko Europe, and handed majority control to Arçelik, the Turkish manufacturer owned by Koç Holding, Turkey's largest industrial group. Arçelik took 75%, Whirlpool kept 25%. What that means in plain English is this: the Hotpoint your gran swore by, the Indesit in your first flat, and the Whirlpool badge itself are now all owned by the same Turkish-controlled company, sitting alongside Beko, Grundig and Blomberg. Beko Europe launched with combined revenue of around €5.5 billion, more than 20,000 employees and 11 factories, making it the largest white goods business in Europe overnight. Whirlpool kept only a few pieces, like the KitchenAid small appliance line, and walked away from the rest of the European market it once dominated. The most British-sounding name in the business, and the most American-sounding name in the business, now answer to the same office in the same group. And because we pay a premium for everything in this country, sit at the end of long post-Brexit supply chains, and have a thinning repair network outside the cities, the illusion of choice costs you more here than almost anywhere. Our water makes it worse. Large parts of Britain are hard water areas, and limescale chews through heating elements and valves faster than the soft water these machines are often rated against. When something does fail, parts for budget brands routinely dry up after 5 or 6 years, and an independent engineer who covers rural Shropshire or coastal Cornwall can be a 3-week wait, not a next-day call. And the Consumer Rights Act, which sounds on paper like it shields you, in practice asks you to prove a fault existed at the point of sale, which means an engineer's report, which means money and months, which is exactly why most people just give up and buy another machine. The manufacturers know that. It is priced into how they behave. You are paying British prices to choose between brands that decided years ago not to compete with each other. I want to be transparent about how. This was put together because a lot of the appliance content you find online is recycled from the manufacturer's own marketing, or from affiliate sites earning a commission on whatever they tell you to buy. This is not that. The ownership in this video is traced from corporate press releases, regulatory filings, and the Competition and Markets Authority's own published report into the Whirlpool and Arçelik merger. The reliability picture leans on the Which? Large Appliance Survey, which questioned 5,588 UK washing machine owners about real faults in real homes, the kind of sample that tells you what happens after years of use, not what happens in a press launch. The repair reality comes from independent UK engineers who open these machines after the warranty has died and have no brand to protect, the people who know which badges share parts and which tubs cannot be opened. And the safety record comes from the government's own product recall register, which is public and which contains information every buyer should have been shown before they walked into the shop. No manufacturer paid for a word of this, and several of the four would be a great deal happier if this particular map stayed folded away. That is usually how you know it is worth making. To understand how four companies came to own almost everything, you have to understand that this was not an accident. It was a 40-year cull. In 1980, around 150 companies made the white goods sold across Europe. By 1990, that number had collapsed to 15, as recession and overcapacity triggered a wave of mergers and bankruptcies, with even big names like AEG and Bauknecht falling into trouble. And in the decades since, those 15 were swallowed, merged and absorbed down to the four giants that now dominate what you can buy. Each wave was sold to the public as efficiency, as scale, as lower prices. What it actually produced was the opposite of competition. A small number of owners with enormous pricing power, each holding a stable of brands aimed at different price points, none of them under any real pressure to make a machine that lasts. This is where badge engineering comes in, and once you see it, you cannot stop seeing it. When one company owns 8 brands, it does not design 8 different machines. It designs a handful of platforms, a shared chassis, a shared drum, a shared motor, and then dresses them in different fascias, different program names, different door designs, and prints a different badge on the front. Ask any independent repairer, and they will tell you the quiet truth of their trade. Many so-called rival brands take the same spare parts, because under the skin they are the same machine. That is useful to know when you need a repair. It is infuriating to know when you realise you paid a premium for the badge that was supposedly better. The differences the showroom sells you as engineering are very often differences of decoration. The fascia is new, the drum is not, the price is higher, the machine inside is the one you could have bought for less under a humbler name, and that brings us to the trick at the centre of all of it, the sealed tub. On most modern machines from these owners, the outer drum is sealed shut at the factory. When the bearings inside it wear out, and they will, an independent engineer cannot simply replace them, because the tub cannot be opened. The repair is not a £40 bearing and an hour of labour. The repair is a new machine. It does not stop at the tub either. Cheaper machines still use brushed motors that wear, where the better ones use brushless inverter motors that do not. Control boards are increasingly proprietary, so a failed circuit board becomes a dealer-only part at a dealer-only price, if it is even still made. Stack those decisions together, and you get a machine engineered around the day it dies rather than the years it could have lived. The consolidation and the sealed tub are the same story told twice. Fewer owners, less competition, and products built to be replaced rather than repaired. So let me walk you through the 4 owners and show you exactly which of your 15 trusted brands belongs to each one. Start with the biggest, the one we have already met, Arçelik, operating in Europe as Beko Europe. This single company owns or controls Hotpoint, Indesit, Whirlpool, Bauknecht, Beko, Grundig, Blomberg and Leisure, and that is before you count the regional names like Flavel, Ignis and Privilege. That is more than half of the brands on this list, all funneling up to one Turkish conglomerate that is now the largest white goods company in Europe. Think about what that means on the shop floor. A shopper comparing a Hotpoint, an Indesit and a Beko believes they're weighing 3 rivals from 3 different traditions, British, Italian and Turkish. They're weighing 3 product lines from one owner. And this is the owner with the most uncomfortable history, because consolidation does not just centralise profit, it centralises failure. In late 2019 and through 2020, Whirlpool was forced to recall Hotpoint and Indesit washing machines built between 2014 and 2018 over a door lock fault that could overheat and catch fire. The figure started at 519,000 machines, then grew, with another 55,021 more models added months later, and 79 fires were linked to the fault. 2 different brand names, Hotpoint and Indesit, the same defect, the same owner, because under the badges they were the same machines. That recall landed just months after the same company recalled around 500,000 tumble dryers in a separate fire scandal that had already dragged on for years and been linked to fires and even deaths across the country. One owner, one design office, and the consequences turning up in millions of British homes under half a dozen different badges. When 4 companies own everything, one bad decision does not stay contained to one brand. It spreads across the whole portfolio at once, because the brands were never really separate. To be fair, the recall was the correct response and the repairs were offered free, with a like-for-like replacement or an in-home fix. But it is the clearest proof you will ever get that the brands on that shop wall are not the independent rivals they pretend to be. The second owner is BSH, which since 2015 has been wholly owned by Robert Bosch, the German engineering company, after Bosch bought out Siemens' remaining stake. BSH owns Bosch, Siemens and Neff, and it is the largest appliance manufacturer in Europe. Now, I will be fair here, because this is the good end of the monopoly. Bosch and Siemens machines are genuinely well engineered. They consistently rank near the top of the reliability data. They tend to use the brushless inverter motors that last, and the better models use serviceable tubs you can actually repair. This is what real engineering money buys, and it is a world away from the budget end of the market. But understand what you are choosing between when you weigh a Siemens against a Bosch, or pay extra for a Neff. These brands share engineering platforms and are separated largely by fascia design, program names and marketing. The premium you pay for the more upmarket badge does not always buy you a fundamentally different machine. It often buys you the same machine in a smarter suit, with a kitchen showroom name on the door. The third owner is Electrolux, the Swedish group, which owns AEG, Zanussi and Electrolux itself, among more than 50 brands worldwide, including old British names like Tricity Bendix and Parkinson Cowan. This is the price point trick in its purest form. AEG is positioned as the premium, aspirational choice, the badge you trade up to. Zanussi is positioned as the sensible budget option, the badge you settle for. They look like opposite ends of the market, 2 different decisions for 2 different shoppers, advertised in completely different tones. They are owned by the same company, engineered by the same group, built on shared platforms to hit different numbers on a price list. You're not choosing between a premium brand and a budget brand. You're choosing how far up Electrolux's own price ladder you would like to climb and how much of its margin you would like to pay today. The fourth owner is Haier, the Chinese appliance giant, which in 2019 acquired the Candy Group and with it Hoover. Yes, that Hoover, the name so famous in Britain that we turned it into a verb. It has not been a British company for a long time, and it is not an independent one now. Hoover and Candy are the same operation, and that operation belongs to Haier in China, which also owns Fisher and Paykel and the appliance arm of General Electric, making it one of the largest appliance manufacturers on Earth. Hoover and Candy tend to sit at the budget end, with sealed tubs and short economic lifespans, which is exactly why they are cheap to buy and expensive to keep. The name on the front sells you a memory of British reliability. The machine inside answers to a different continent and a different century, so that is your wall of choice. 15 famous names, 4 owners. Arçelik holds 8 of them, BSH 3, Electrolux 2, Haier 2. Before I show you the way out, I want to ask you something directly, and I read every reply. Tell me in the comments which 2 brands you once cross-shopped, agonizing over the difference, only to learn just now that they have the same owner. My guess is a lot of you spent an evening comparing a Hotpoint against an Indesit, or an AEG against a Zanussi, weighing rivals that were never rivals. And while you are there, tell me what badge is on the machine in your kitchen right now, and whether you knew who actually owned it before today. That is not your fault. That is the entire point of the badges. The choice was the product, and you bought it. Now, here is the way out, because not everything on the market belongs to the 4. There is a small group of genuinely independent manufacturers, and they are the answer to this whole video, the names that never joined the cull and never adopted the disposable playbook. At the top sits Miele, the German company that is still family-owned and refuses to play the disposable game. Miele machines are built to last 20 years and more, with serviceable parts and tubs designed to be opened and repaired, and the company famously tests its machines to the equivalent of 2 decades of use before they ever reach a shop. The honest catch is the price, both to buy and for spares, but you are buying 2 decades, not 5 years. Then there is the one that should make every British viewer sit up, eBac. It is the only company that actually designs and manufactures washing machines in the United Kingdom, family-owned, founded by John Elliott, and based in Newton Aycliffe in County Durham. and it builds its machines with a split tub specifically so the bearings can be replaced, the exact opposite of the sealed drum trick. Some models carry a guarantee of up to 10 years, and the parts are meant to be there when you need them. Beyond those two, Samsung and LG are independent Korean giants that sit outside the four and bring genuinely different engineering, including the direct drive motors LG backs with long warranties. And Smeg remains an independent Italian name, while some retailer-owned brands are simply badge-engineered versions of the Big Four, so you still need to ask who built it. The point is not that every independent is perfect. It is that these are the names the map does not cover, and that alone makes them worth your attention before you hand your money to one of the four. Here are the rules. Write them down. Rule 1. Before you compare two machines on price, identify the owner. Look up the parent company, not the badge. If they share a parent, you're not comparing rivals, you are comparing trim levels, and the cheaper badge is often the smarter buy for the same engineering. Rule 2. Ask the question the showroom hopes you never ask, which is whether the tub is sealed or serviceable, and whether the motor is a brushless inverter. A serviceable machine with an inverter motor can be repaired and run for decades. A sealed one with a brushed motor is a countdown timer with a spin cycle. Rule 3. Before you buy anything new or used, check the government's product recall register for the exact model and serial number, because as we have seen, a famous badge is no guarantee of safety, and recalls expand quietly months after they are announced. And Rule 4. If you genuinely want off the map, look at the independents first, Miele and a back at the top, and judge every machine on its lifespan and its repairability, not on its sticker price or the size of the brand's advertising budget. Now the arithmetic nobody puts on the showroom ticket. Option 1. The illusion. You buy a mid-range sealed tub machine from one of the big four for say £400, feeling like you chose carefully between brands. The bearings go at year 7, the tub cannot be opened, and the machine is scrapped. Over 20 years you do that roughly 3 times, so you spend £1,200 and you throw 3 machines into landfill. And that landfill figure matters more than it looks, because most of the washing machine's environmental cost is the steel, copper and electronics built into it at the factory, the embodied carbon, not the electricity it uses at home. Scrapping a working but unrepairable machine every 7 years is the most wasteful thing you can do, and the sealed tub is what forces it. Option 2. You pay more once. A serviceable Miele or a British-built e-back costs more up front, perhaps double, but the bearings can be replaced, the parts exist years down the line, and the machine runs for 15 to 20 years. Spread across 2 decades, it is the same money or less, with 1 machine instead of 3, and a fraction of the waste. Factor in the British premium, the post-Brexit parts costs, and the engineer call-outs, and the gap only widens in favour of the machine that was built to be fixed. The cheap machine is the expensive one. The disposable badge is the costly habit. The sticker price is the bait, and the total cost of ownership across 20 years is the only number that tells the truth. So here is the bottom line. When you walk into that shop and see 15 brands, you are not looking at 15 choices. You are looking at 4 owners and a clever paint job, and a design philosophy built around the day the machine dies rather than the years it could serve. None of this is a conspiracy theory. It is a business model, assembled over 40 years of mergers and refined with 1 sealed drum at a time, and it works precisely because you were never shown the map. The badges do the hiding, the price tiers do the rest. Now you have it. Ignore the badge and find the owner. Choose serviceable over sealed, and an inverter motor over a brushed one. Check the recall register before you part with a penny. And when you can, buy from the handful of names that still answer to nobody but their customers. The choice was always an illusion. The decision from here is real, and it is yours. Walk in knowing the map, and for the first time you will be the one holding it, not the one being sold from it. If this video changed how you see that shop wall, subscribe so you never miss the next one, and send it to anyone about to buy a washing machine.